funds are finally in place to evaluate and perhaps begin the new Anderson-Belton Trail. Remind people about that property and what we're talking about.
What we're talking about is the old rail line, Piedmont and Northern, that ran from the city of Anderson to Belton. And it was owned eventually by Duke Power, Duke Energy. And it's abandoned. It doesn't work. They don't use it anymore, but they still have, I'd say, 95% of the right-of-way. So Duke Energy gave us a grant of $250,000, and we have turned that over to the United Way and put together a group in conjunction with the United Way and others to do the preliminary trail work, engineering, to get that project going, because we think that would be just another leg on a trail system that would encompass the city of Anderson and Anderson County. But you got to start somewhere. But in terms of trail building, that's very easy because you know who owns the bulk of the right-of-way. So they've been very cooperative working with us on that. So hopefully that's something we will continue to build on. The $250,000 is not enough to complete the trail, but to get it in a situation where we could go seek other funds after that.
It's also wide enough for a trail. It's sort of built in place, ready to...
It's a built-in trail.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of the trails around the country, they are on all abandoned railroads. And so that's going to be something that's very exciting. And I think it has more potential than people know. County owns that property near the old Toxaway Mill area. We've done environmental cleanup down there. We've done some cosmetic work down there. We think that will really be a key to spurring development in that part of town, because you have Anderson University there, that property's right there, and that trail almost comes right into there. So we think there's a lot of potential there.
That's where I was going to. There's a history lesson in the fact that it goes from Main Street in Belton to North Gossett Street in Anderson.
Yes.
You don't think about that area.
No, you don't.
Hot area.
You don't, but it can be and will be. And what we've talked to with several groups about hoping it could become a technology corridor or a technology center because of its proximity to the AU and just the general area where it is.
Council also gave the final approval to the public space on the Saluda River. There's so much going on in that area. Why is that project such a big deal?
The Piedmont Park, is that what you're talking about? Well, that is a big deal. We've secured a $500,000 grant to develop that. It's a pet project of Councilman Jimmy Davis. And we also have received another $100,000 from the legislative delegation, which puts us right at $600,000. And we have also put in a request for another $500,000 that Senator Mike Gambrill is working diligently on for Anderson County. And our first phase for that is right at $1 million. So if we can get that, and hopefully we could get that money in middle of August, we could really go to town and start working on that project. That's a very exciting project. There's a lot going on in Piedmont, a lot of energy in Piedmont. They went all out for Christmas this year. On the Greenville side, they're fixing up the huge old house over there. We met with them last week about doing some cleanup around the dam on the Anderson County side. So there's a whole lot of activity in that part of the world, a lot of activity, a lot of dedicated citizens pushing that project.
And that Piedmont Park is 29 acres, is that right?
29 acres off the top of my head,
right
yes.
On the Saluda River.
Right on the Saluda River. And it's beautiful, it's forest, and there's an old road there. And we just like that to make that available to the public because it's a beautiful part of the river. How
will that play into the Blue Trail and all the other Saluda River stuff?
It will be, beside Dolly Cooper Park, it will be the largest thing. So you could actually have a route between that park, the Piedmont Park, and Dolly Cooper, and make that almost like a super interstate highway.
Any improvements underway at Green Pond? I know it's the sort of the slow season, as slow as it gets out there.
Well, one of the things we're doing right now is we're putting in 2 host sites. And what host sites are people, they will have a place to come in and hook up their camper. And the reason we want that is we want some of our people to be out there at all times to prevent vandalism and to keep an eye on Green Pond. The county has a huge investment in that area, and if we have people there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's going to be a big help to us in curtailing vandalism. And we don't get a lot, but we get some, and it'll also make it a safer environment. And they can also, as part of the right to stay there, they can pick up litter and make sure everything's all right.
What about the property that the county bought next to Green Pond there? What is that going to do?
Well, that property was had the possibility of turning into something that would not have been desirable beside Green Pond, and we were able to purchase that. It has a house on it, and right beside it is an historic African American graveyard. Now, we didn't purchase that, but we're going to clean it up. But that gives us a place for conferences, also a place to store equipment, and kind of like a headquarters during a fishing tournament. So it was a great purchase by us to preserve that part of Green Pond.
And this is sort of the time of year to do little upgrades because it's fixing to hit in full
Yes.
tilt out at Green Pond. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, we've had tournaments every weekend. Had one last weekend, the weekend before. As a matter of fact, last weekend was the largest bag of fish in terms of weight that we've had at any tournament in a long time. Off the top of my head, it was 28 pounds. So the fishery's in good shape, and we're going to continue to make sure the fishery's in good shape. We're also looking into doing some tribute band performances out there this year. There are a lot of tribute bands in this area, a whole lot of them out of Greenville, out of the Atlanta area, and they're very popular, but they don't cost a lot of money to get. And we're looking at doing a series of concerts there and possibly at Green Pond too. And some of these people sound just like the real thing. And some of them...
They've been very popular, like the Walhalla Civic Center.
Oh, Walhalla
Civic.
Walhalla Civic Center's been selling out. Abbeville Opera House sells out. And I think there's an appropriate venue and a place for that to provide more entertainment here in the county.
Is there any long-term plan to have a venue in Anderson? We seem to be missing the sort of the auditorium kind of...
Well, we don't have a peace center. But
we
then
don't have a Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium.
We don't have Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium. But one day there will be a demand for that. There's a demand for it now, but we're building a jail. Anderson County Council's building a jail and several other things that we're doing, upgrading our facilities and everything. So there's just not money there for that right at this point.
What about the county's recent recreation plans for each district? I know one of the things somebody asked me about that was they're all the money to do everything. I said, the idea is you got to have the plan in place before you can do anything.
If you don't know what you want or what you need, well, you just want a bunch of money just to have a bunch of money? No, you need to have an idea of what you need to do so we can start picking these things off one at a time. So that's what that plan's about. That's where that is.
So every council district has a plan now?
Every district has a plan. Well, I think there's one more that they're just beginning to work on.
And for economic development, if you can tell a company coming in, here's our recreation plans, that's important even if they're not.
Well, they like to see that there's a livable community. We just received something yesterday, and we get stuff all the time, plus we look for stuff, that the Greenville, Anderson, Malden area is one of the 5th best places in the country to buy a house. That's going to bring more people coming to this area. So, I mean, we're getting something like that just about every other day about our area or Anderson or something. So the demand for those facilities is going to increase.
The budget year is more than half over now. How are finances looking for this fiscal year?
We're in good shape, but Ms. Rita Davis, who is the Chief Financial Officer of the county, guarantees that we're always in good shape. So we're right where we should be.
And I'm sure they're already doing the groundwork for the coming year's budget. Any challenges we're looking at coming into next year?
There's always a challenge right now with the inflation that's hitting everybody in the whole country. Thank goodness we don't have to buy eggs, but we do have to buy some eggs out of the jail. So, I mean, everybody's faced with those challenges, but we're trying to maintain what we can within the budget level that we've been given by county council.
And funding is now in place for the mental health court. How soon can it be up and running?
We're still putting the nuts and bolts together. Hopefully in about 6 months that will be a reality.
And you just touched on it a minute ago, the detention center. Plans from that group? Do you have any idea when you might see some plans?
We're working on preliminary plans right now, but that's a complicated situation. There's no cookie cutter jail, and what we want in a jail may not be what everybody else wants in a jail. But I can assure you that our demolition efforts getting ready for the new jail are underway. As a matter of fact, the old armory, as of yesterday, is now on the ground. So that's part and parcel of it, but we're doing that in-house with our people. So that's working very, very well.
How about the old Equinox Mill site revitalization? Plans to bring 120 houses and some retail and park space. Where are we at on that?
Because of the tax credit situation with the state of South Carolina and reducing that number of tax credits, we have to wait for those tax credits to come back. The state reduced the number of those tax credits, and we've tried, but we'll be applying again. And I don't understand the reasoning behind that, because they said we don't want to give these tax credits because developers come in and make a bunch of money. Well, without those tax credits, developers don't come in because it's not financially feasible. So I think that's penny wise and pound foolish. But we've addressed that with members of the legislative delegation, and hopefully something can be changed on that.
Well, on good news, the old Cheney Mill site in Pendleton is beginning the process of building new housing and some retail. And the leadership in Pendleton said they've worked closely with the county on that project. That's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. We work very closely with all of our towns, going from the library situation in Iowa to what we're doing in Pelzer and West Pelzer and in Piedmont, what we're doing with the Chicola Mill and Honeypath. And Pendleton, Steve Miller, their administrator, is doing a remarkable job. You know, they're taking that old, abandoned, dead trailer park, and they're going to turn that into a very nice development. That's going to redevelop that whole side of town. The Cheney Mill is going to be developed. If you go to Pendleton to eat, then you need to park in Sandy Springs, because they're dealing with that right now, and they're wrestling with that because the place is packed all of the time.
Well, this is significant in Pendleton, I think, because in my mind, it's the first real mill revitalization that's using the old buildings. Is that
Yes. Right? Usually you get in there and the mill's already gone. In this case, that's entirely different.
And they've also got the good news of the same developer working to they're really cleaning off the oil mill property.
Yes.
And then doing environmental studies, and that's going to continue to extend their downtown.
And that's been a goal and a dream for over 15 years to do something with that property. And now finally it's going to happen. The old Pendleton oil mill site's going to be cleaned up, and they're going to put something very nice there. And I think they're working through the details on that right now.
So the changes in funding, is it affecting all the mill sites around?
It affects every mill site because there's only a limited amount. And so you, in essence, have to get in line. So that's where that is. We have some more job announcements coming up probably in the next 2 to 3 months. But right now what we're trying to do is backfill the job positions that we have. If you ride around town, you can see major employers are desperately looking for people. And so we're trying to get over that hump. But I'm very happy to say we probably, off the top of my head, we have 6 businesses that we're growing at our incubator on 1428, high-tech entities that are out there, and we provide a space for them to get their feet under them so they can eventually move out into the county and start their business. So that's going real well. And it's something I don't think we've talked enough about is our soft landing zone / incubator space out at 1428. But we intend to do a better job of that.
1428.
Well, 1428 is the old Ryobi building, which is now a county.
Singer building.
Or Singer building if you're of a certain age. But now it's a county facility, and we have a lot of things. About 25% of the sheriff's departments out there. We have space in the back warehousing that we actually rent out to private parties to help us maintain that building. Clemson Extension Service is now fully at home at 1428. We're very excited about that. And we have incubator space. We have a space for Tri-County Tech. We have SC Works out there. It's really turning into something wonderful for the county. And we also have our new automotive shop out there. And we're also very excited that Tri-County Tech has purchased the old trucking company near there. And they're going to turn that into their automotive center for the 3-county area. And we've been in discussions with them about when they put that there, that we will be able to have apprentices from that program actually work in our shop, give us first shot at hiring them, but also provide a good working atmosphere for those students. And I mean, right now, a good mechanic, they're making $120,000 a year. It's really up to them. I mean, and we have a shortage of those people. So we're excited to be partnering with Tech on that endeavor.
They deserve every penny of it. A good.
Absolutely.
How about, is the shortage of housing going to be an economic development issue in the future?
We need houses. There's no doubt about it. We need houses. Yeah, we need places for people to live. Our rent is through the roof. We've discussed that earlier. I think the fact that economic development and industry coming in has created that demand for houses. But this is how zoning works in Anderson County precisely. If people live in a certain area, we break it down to precincts, okay? They have to get a petition with, I think, don't hold me to it, but I think it's 10% of the voters in there. It could be 15%. Then that can go on the ballot, and those people can vote to have that area zoned. Met with people last Friday who were interested in zoning that area. Because if your area is zoned, what goes in there has to fall under that zoning classification. But it is citizen driven, because there's some parts of the county, if the county council said we're going to zone you, they would burn the courthouse down. So it is citizen driven. If you live in an area and you're interested in that, having that area zoned, contact us. The county cannot be a proponent for or against, but we can certainly provide you the information on how to begin the process if you're interested in it. And we're getting a lot of people that are doing that. Some places in the county have been zoned for 25 years, and now others are just now saying, well, how come we don't have zoning? And it's our job to make them aware of how you go about zoning. Citizen-driven, from the ground up, not imposed from the top.
All right, the past month has also brought some challenges for paws, and seizures of animals in 2 cases have exacerbated that problem. At last you've heard, has paws recovered yet? Or?
I talked with Dr. Sanders, and the pressure has let off a little bit. We actually have a little open space, but for a while there we had absolutely no space. And this is hitting every place else, and I think you're having people turning in animals from COVID. You know, oh, we need spot, but now COVID's over, we don't need spot. And you have a lot of other sources for animals. We're getting more purebred animals in there than we've ever had before. And our staff at PAWS is the greatest shelter staff that anybody could have in the whole world, from top to bottom. Those people do hard work. They love it. They love animals. They do a good job. But 2 weeks ago, we were in a jam. But I will tell you what, that the public responded by sponsoring, adopting, volunteering, and things like that. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better group.
And there have been shelters from around the country to come look at this as a
Oh,
model
there's shelters. I mean, you know, we have a shelter that's the envy of many, many people. Spartanburg County is just now building a shelter, okay? They're just now getting into that business. And so, yes, a lot of people come talk to us about Abbeville. Dr. Sanders helped them. Oconee, Dr. Sanders helped them. It's a whole lot of missionary work that she does. But we still assist our other counties in many occasions when they have a situation, because our people are trained to handle those situations. Kind of easy when the director of all of your animal operations in Anderson County is also a vet.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen too often. We have a special guest star today, Mr. Joshua Hawkins, who is over our emergency management services for Anderson County. And he's probably the best man in that job in the state of South Carolina. But there's 2 things we thought that people might be interested in that you don't hear about every day. And rather than me trying to tell you what he knows better than anybody else, I'm going to segue out, and Josh is going to come up here and tell you about 2 things we have going on.
Something that's going to be really helpful is the new special needs registry that y'all are doing. Explain what that is.
Yes, sir. So the special needs registry is just it's an easy, quick way for people with special needs to be able to register with our 911 center and our emergency management department. What it does when you register is you let us know what your need is. It could be autism, it could be that you're oxygen dependent, it could be that you're wheelchair bound and not able to easily move and get out of your residence. There's a whole list in there that you can check and just let us know what's going on with you. It also gives us your emergency contacts. So if we find you unresponsive or we respond to you, we know who you are, we know who to call, and we know how to better help you. As everybody knows, when we respond to a call, it's a little different when you're responding to somebody with special needs. It could be a special medical need. It could be something, an autistic child is different to respond to. There's different ways to talk to them, and they may respond to us differently, may not be able to show the emotions that we show, and it really just helps keep them protected, keep our officers protected, EMS, fire. It goes across all boards when it goes through our 911 center. It's completely voluntary. It's confidential. The site that we use to be able to take your data in is HIPAA compliant. It goes to our emergency management department. It goes to our GIS, and it goes to our 911 center. What that allows is the 911 center puts it in their system. So when you dial 911, it pops up on their map and lets them know that, hey, this residence has someone with special needs in it. Maybe questions they need to ask, maybe something they need to pass on to the responders. It also goes to GIS, and what GIS does for us is they map it. So there's a confidential map that is shared between GIS and emergency management. And that map is vital when we have the potential for flooding, we have the potential for mass power outages, we have the potential for any type of evacuation. It could be for a hazardous material release. It gives us the ability to pull up a map, figure out that area that we've got to evacuate, and see if there's somebody that's wheelchair bound that has no way of physically getting out or may need additional assistance, and allows us to go check on those people. We're very excited for something that we have been wanting for years, needing for years. As everyone knows, we have this huge lake called Lake Hartwell, and has a few marinas on it, has fuel stations on it, has a lot of fire potential on it, but it also has a lot of rescue, EMS, and law enforcement needs on it. County Council voted over a year ago now to purchase a fire boat. So this is a fire, EMS, and law enforcement boat. It does everything. It's 28 feet long, 8.5 feet wide. It's going to have twin 250 horse Yamahas on the back. It will have a big enough platform on the front for divers, so our divers can get in and out of the boat, can store all their equipment so we can move the boat quickly. It'll have a removable fire pump, so we'll actually be able to fight fires on the lake. We've responded to 3 fires on the lake already this year just for islands catching on fire. And we've, as you've probably seen in the news, we responded to multiple marine fires over the past years. So this is going to give us another capability that we've desperately been needing on Lake Hartwell, and we're really excited to use it. We're really excited to get it in. We're hoping to get it in. The goal is it will be in before summer. We have a 10-year-old Carolina skiff, which is a flat-bottom boat. It is also 28 feet long, with a single 225 horse Yamaha on the back. And any of my boat lovers out there, you can imagine what a 225 horsepower motor does for a flat bottom boat. Doesn't really push it fast, doesn't get you where you need to go, and once we load all our dive gear in it, it's even slower. We don't have any capabilities with fire suppression from Lake Hartwell outside. Everything that we do with fire suppression either is throwing fire extinguishers on a boat or trying to hit whatever is burning from the shoreline with fire apparatus. This is actually going to be a partnership with Anderson County Fire as well. They're working, the county fire headquarters and commission are working on plans and procedures to provide firefighters for that boat, so we can respond on the boat with firefighters, everything ready to go with the fire pumps. It will have fire hose on the boat. It's going to have a deck gun on the boat so we can shoot water straight off the boat without having to pull hose. But having the hose on the boat's vital too. When we have these fires on shorelines, we can quickly respond from there too. Even if it's a house fire on land, to be able to pull water from the lake, it's an endless supply of water for us compared to a hydrant that may be few and far in between. We do what we call taker operations, where we just take fire trucks and relay them back and forth to the hydrant. This will give us the option of pulling water directly from the lake and speeding that process up and getting water on fire. We're the jack of all trades. We sit in the middle of everybody. So we assist fire, law, EMS, public works, the hospital systems, the nursing homes, the school districts, the county administration, the municipality administrations. If it's in Anderson County and it responds, we work with them. We help them. We basically do a lot of organizational stuff. So in the event of a natural disaster, we open up what's called an emergency operations center, and we will work out of there with key leaders from each one of those organizations. What that does is allow us to be able to move resources around the county as needed and prioritize calls. Natural disasters can hit at any moment, and we have 210,000 plus citizens now. So that's a lot of homes, that's a lot of facilities, and for example, one tornado comes through, we've got a lot of resources in Anderson, but we've got to use those resources wisely. And so this allows us to help use those resources wisely. The emergency management also is our it's our gateway to outside of the county. So we're the ones who request assistance from outside the county, whether it be state assistance, whether it be our adjoining counties, or it could be federal assistance. We're the ones that actually are the gatekeeper to that. We have mutual aid agreements. We provide help to our adjoining counties, but we also provide counties all the way on the coastline. We have agreements all the way to Charleston, Columbia, Myrtle Beach. We've been a little bit everywhere, and we've responded to a little bit everywhere because we're here to help. We have some specialized assets that other counties don't. Other counties have specialized assets that we don't. It really helps the tax base. It helps us spend money wisely. Every county doesn't need some grand thing that we only use one time a year, when we have other counties that have that, and we can just ask them to come in and help us. If you go to our website, emd.andersonsheriff.org/SN Registry, that'll bring you straight to the page. You've got two options. You can complete it online on our HIPAA compliant software, or you can actually print out a PDF form and fill it in by hand and mail it in to us. We're happy either way. We are happy to help either way, and if you need help, you can actually call our office number. It's on that website as well. When you're in that website, feel free to look around. There's a lot of disaster preparedness tips. There's a lot of information about what goes on in Anderson County.